Right, guys, so the storm turned out to be a little bit of a damp squib. Great British weather and all that. Nothing happened after the update, to be honest with you. I mean, it's good, you know what I mean, because in the last big storm, the one that this was being compared to, I think 18 people died or something like that, and you know, there was like hundreds of £1,000s worth of damage and all that sort of business. So I'm glad that, you know, we all came out the other side of such a monumental occasion. I've got some Ben Tanner Toxic Blades 01 Damascus annealing in the oven as we speak, but right now I am going for a mirror polish on this. It is proving impossible to get a mirror polish just off the belts alone and into the buffer. So I'm going to do some hand rubbing, something I haven't done for a long time, and quite frankly I hate it. But I might as well take you along for the ride. You can see what's going on. So over here I have 400, 600, 800 and 1200 grits. Micro mesh should I need it. I'm hoping I won't. 3-in-1 and 2 bars that I'll be using. Mainly the brass one to start with. So here we go. Let's give it a little go. Like I say, I haven't done this for a long time. And the disclaimer, as always, is there are several ways to do it. This is how I do it. But let me show you this first. This is my hand rubbing jig. Basically, routed out 2 channels here, so we've got central support that goes on there, and then even with really thin blades, I can still get down and hand rub it without any of this fouling. So that basically holds that like that. I don't like it when the blade's sticking out like that. It only takes a second for you to turn around and pick up your smokes, or you know, do something, pick something else up. You turn around on that, you got a sharp point digging in you. So this is set all the way back. This is totally concealed, totally safe. Job done. Now, a little bit of this on top, and then we clamp it down. Can you see this? Yes, you can. Right, so I've taken this up to 400 grit belt. Move this out of the way. Taking it to 400 grit belt, and I'm going to carry on with 400 and take it down from there. Now, usually the best way to hand rub is you cross hatch each particular grit size, because then that way, once you go that way, yeah, you've got your grits, you've got your grind lines or whatever, your rubbing lines, then you go the other way, and that's the best way to tell. Get back to that in a sec. That's the best way to tell that all these grind lines are gone. Alright, so you cross hatch it like that. Whereas if you keep going the same direction all the time, you could end up taking it to the final buff, and you've still got all these, you know, striations across it. So you go crosswise like that. Now I started off doing it lengthways and then going across that way, but of course you've only got a very small surface here. It's easy to rock, and therefore you end up like convexing the bevel pretty much. So the best way I've found of doing it is going across this way. Then you've got the best of both worlds. Alright, you've got enough of a flat here to take it across, and you've got enough of a flat here to take it across as well. So X marks the spot. Now I'm going to lube it up. Got some 3-in-1, love my 3-in-1. Obviously there's other lubes you can use WD-40, Windoline, you know, blah 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 blah, even like washing up liquid, you know what I mean? But I've found WD-40 works the best, and the reason you lube it up. What's up, mate? Oh dude, that's awesome, man. I mean, you stole that picture out of my studio, but that's awesome. I really like that. Can I show it on the camera? Yeah, this is going to be going on the video. My boys just bought me this. Check it out. Where's the camera? That's an umbrella. Right here, dude. Oh. Bye. Excellent. Right, I'm doing a vid now, my mate, so that's it. Good boy. I'll see you in a minute. Love it. So, yeah, the reason you lube it up basically is because as you're going backwards and forwards, when you take it back, when you go forward, sorry, and then you take it back, you get those little fish hooks, and basically this acts as like a lubricant and a cushion to stop that from happening. Beans, go inside, my mate. Cheers, dude. And yeah, the lube acts as like a cushion, and it stops you. Basically, micro mesh here works so well because it is cloth backed, and it stops you over applying pressure. And the same way works with the 3-in-1. It stops you over applying the pressure, so you get, you know, nice even grind lines. So I'm going to start with a brass. Now, the reason I use brass is because it's easy. It's very, very easy to slip off the end and dink it on the end there. Okay. If you're using steel, even like a annealed 01 or something like that, and you do that, bump, you're going to you take the tip straight off. I mean, I've slightly overheated this tip anyway, so I'm going to be taking that off anyway. But that's why brass is a good metal to use. You get nice flat. It's better than wood or anything like that, because wood, obviously, it's got some compression to it, so it will conform to the blade a little bit. That's not ideally what you want. You want a nice flat surface just to get these flats happening. So brass is a good way to go. And obviously you want to keep your grits clean and separate from everything else, because this is 400 grit. Say you've got like a chunk of 280 grit belt that's been flying around and has landed on this, that'll just give you a scratch that'll ruin your entire day. You know what I mean? You'll take it down with a 400, and then you'll go across with a 600, and you'll have this score line now, and you'll be this is what I call chasing scratches, which is basically, you know, you've done it all, it looks perfect, and then you tilt it ever so slightly in the light, boom, there's a scratch there. Chasing scratches, man. Hate it. So let's get this lubed up. So you can see that I'm going crosswise, even though this is sat that way, just to get into the ricasso, the plunge, I'm actually going in a crosswise action. Keeping the pressure as flat to the blade as possible with no rocking or anything like that, because the last thing you want to do is end up, you know, convexing the spine or over-convexing the edge or anything like that. A little wipe. It's looking pretty good so far. I've still got some grind lines going this way. So let's get a fresh bit. Right, I thought I'd switch it off there, spare you the Benny Hill sequence, but now you can see that all the scratches are gone, and all that's left are the diagonal scratches. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, I mean, that 400 there, if I was to start bringing it this way, that would actually make a really nice satin hand rub finish. That's basically how you do it, a hand rubbed finish. Is you take it through the grits, and then you finish it off by just bringing it this way, and that's what gives you that beautiful hand rub finish. But so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swap it over to the rubber back one. This is really hard rubber, and do it with some more 400 just across the blade. Jesus Christ! Just across the blade, and get into this plunge area here. So now I know, after using that brass, now I know that the blade's flat. I can get in there with this, and as I'm not applying a lot of pressure with this, there's no danger of rounding off the spine or the edge. So I'm just butting that into there, getting into that plunge area, and that's like, as I do it, that's riding up the plunge, and that's giving that a nice little rub. So I'm going to carry on doing this, and when that plunge looks as good as the flats, I'll come back to you and we'll go up the grit. Right, 400's all done. So now we've got to wipe that off. And then what I like to do, because obviously that's still going to have some 400 media on it, then what I like to do is get some acetone and degrease that. Because otherwise you'll go across with a 600 and you'll be dragging 400 with it, and that is the start. That's the start of your problems. Some might not consider that necessary, but I've spent too long in the past chasing scratches, man. There's nothing more tedious or frustrating. So let's get some 600 happening. Like I say, I was going that way to start with, so now I'm going to come back across this way. I'm going to park myself up on the workbench here, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction, and then I'll be able to tell whether all these 400 grit scratches are out. So still lined up with the plunge, but in the opposite direction like that. Now you don't want to apply too much pressure. You want to apply the same amount of pressure all the way along. If you do find some scratches, don't dig in now, because then you're basically negating the purpose of this. Because you're just going to end up putting a nice deep gouge in there, and when you go across it with the next grit up, that line will be there, which means you'll have to go back down again. So if I'm on a 600 now, and I put a nice big groove in it with a 600 and discover that on the 800, then it's kind of a case of going back to the 400 and redoing that. So you don't want to put too much weight on it. You're letting that oil act as a cushion, and if you push down too hard, you're basically pushing that cushion out of the way. But you'll notice when I showed it to you last time, no fishhooks. There were no fishhooks at all. Basically, if you don't know what a fishhook is, it's when you push up like that and then you bring it back again, you get this lots of tiny little fishhook shapes at the end of each stroke. I used to get them, absolute nightmare, until I discovered, well, not discovered, I actually YouTubed it, and the geezer was using oil, and I ain't looked back since. It totally gets rid of that. It's awesome. Right, so 600 done. Now onto the 800, and basically going back the same way. 800. So it's looking good so far. Touch wood. Right, that's the 800 done, and you can see now that it's starting to bring out that sort of cloudy grain you get with 01. But like I say, if you wanted to do a hand rubbed finish, basically all the steps up until this point are the same. And then all you do is make sure you've got a clean run behind you, and you're just going to be basically rocking backwards and forwards. If I clean that up, you can effectively see, I mean I haven't got rid of all the scratches from the previous 800, but you can see what I'm talking about. And you can see there, you've got your hand rub finish. See that? And that's as simple as that goes, really. I say simple, it's not simple at all, because there's a knack to this, and some people have absolutely mastered the hand rub finish. I haven't. Personally, if I was going to take this to a hand rub finish, I'd take this probably back to the 600, because you're getting on for a polish there. You're sort of midway between a polish and a hand rub finish, and it doesn't look like it's going one way or the other. But there you go, there's your hand rub finish. But of course we want to take it a step further than that, and we're aiming for not a mirror. You'll never get a mirror with 01 because of the grain. But what I'm going to do now is going to jump up to the 1200. It's a little high. Ideally I could do it 1000 in between, but I'll jump up to the 1200, see if I can get rid of them 800 scratches, and then we'll go to the buffer and see what the results are. So there's your 1200. Right, well, the rain's picking up. My missus just taking the kids out because they were getting cabin fever. I'm sure they'll be back soon. Well, in fact they won't be back because they love the rain. They'll be out there for hours. Alright, because they're nutters. At what point in your life you go from loving the rain to going, sod that, it's raining? You know what I mean? But let's crack on with this 1200. Let's see how we get on. Right. There's the 1200 done. Now it looks like all the scratches have gone. Of course we ain't going to be able to tell until we buff it. So yeah, looks like there's still some scratches in there, in the spine especially, but let's take it over there and see how we go. I don't know where I'm going to put you for this. If I put you on, let's clamp you on here. The old Gorilla Pod, love it. Right, let's go. Now I'm going to go straight onto a stitched cotton mop here. Personally, I don't like using sisal mops. They're pretty brutal. So we're just going to clean this up. Go straight onto it. Now obviously the blade's going to be oily, your hands are going to be oily, so I highly recommend that you clean both, because as we know, you don't want this slipping out your hands. Now, I don't like using gloves on these, because I feel that you'll kind of lose a little bit of the feel for it. So let's give it a go. Right, first things first, I'm going to go front to back, then I'm going to sit back down and do it sideways. Death grip for the win. Spent a long time hand rubbing this. I don't want any mishaps. And if that does get ripped out my hand, I've got a 5 foot length of marble down here that is not going to be overly sympathetic to its plight. So I've got my hoodie. Hoodie's there. Let's see how we get on. Right. Bit of tissue. Another little tip. When you're using kitchen roll in your workshop, like I do, it's sort of like, it's one of them, why didn't I think of that before tips. When you take it off, use the inside, not the outside, because this outside could have been covered with all sorts of, like, you know, hardened grit and dust and all sorts of stuff like that. When you take it off, use the inside, because that's the clean bit. Simple little tip, obviously, but I was cleaning up some O1 once, and every time I wiped it down I discovered more scratches. I was like, what the hell's going on here? And of course it was contaminants on the outside of the kitchen roll. So we'll get some alright. There's a couple of scratches, a couple of larger scratches on the spine. Sorry, close to the plunge. So they're going to have to go. But let's give it a tickle up on the loose stitch mop and see how we get on. Again, you ain't going to get a perfect mirror polish on O1 because of the nature of the grain, but you can get all the scratches out. Okay, so we'll look at that. There you go. If I tilt that way, you can see the grain. Look at that. That is why you'll never get a perfect mirror polish. Now there's, I mean, O1 is an AISI sort of designation. You do get different grades of O1. And this one seems to be showing the grain a little bit more. Makes no difference to the quality of the steel. But there's no way to, the scratches are out for all intents and purposes. The scratches are out, so, and this is just not going to take a mirror polish at all. But basically, that's how you go about it. Okay, this is why I never use a Sizewell mop, because if you do your prep first, you go up the grits correctly, then you don't need one. You can just go straight to the stitched cotton mop. But there you go. That's how that's done. And if you go back halfway through the vid, you'll see how a hand rub finish done. I do like the look of a hand rub finish. I mean, this isn't as tedious as I kind of make out, you know what I mean, but there's a very good reason why I don't do it. But there you go. Hope you found this useful. Hope this helped some folks out. Obviously you can apply this to different steels. principle's exactly the same. You might even have more luck with your 01 than I'm having here. But there you go. And I will see you all in the next vid. Peace.